You are going to transform your body this year. Even if you've tried everything and failed, even if you think you don't have the willpower, even if you're convinced that your metabolism is broken, and even if you believe that you are just one of those people who cannot maintain a healthy body while building a business, raising a family, and juggling all the balls. And that is exactly what today's episode is going to be about. We're talking about my complete body transformation this year, how I went from feeling really puffy, inflamed, overweight, and just disconnected from my body to what I feel is like the strongest, fittest, sexiest, healthiest I've ever been in my life. And I'm in my late 30s and after having a baby, and I'm sharing the exact science, systems, and strategies I've used so you can do the same. So today we're going to deep dive into everything that you guys have been asking me about for months, because I swear I get hundreds and hundreds of questions from you guys in my Instagram inbox weekly. And I'm going to share everything you guys are asking about: the genetic testing that changed everything for me, the methylation protocols that optimized my hormones. I'll talk about exactly what I ate in a day, my training schedule, how I maintained muscle while losing fat, and most importantly, how I built the consistent daily routines that made willpower kind of irrelevant to this whole health journey. So we are talking about my body composition results as well. I've got them here for those of you who are joining me on YouTube or on Spotify. I lost 5.3 kilograms of fat while maintaining my muscle mass. And that was done in just over 5 months. So I'll be talking about the sleep protocols, the protein strategies, the training approach, and how this transformation has literally positively affected every single area of my life and my business, not just my well-being. So if you're tired of weight loss approaches that don't work for your unique body, your busy life, your goals, this episode is going to be your roadmap. So if this is your first time here, welcome to the Worthy Podcast, the home of reminding you that you are innately worthy. Worthy of it all, worthy of the life you dream of, the business you desire, the results from said business, the health and the body that you have up on your vision board, all of it. We have thousands of people who tune in here who are very ambitious entrepreneurs, conscious parents, and women who refuse to choose between their life, their health, and their success. I'm Shani, and I would say that over here, we do life, business, health very differently. We don't do quick fixes. We don't do shame-based. We don't do cookie cutter anywhere here. We definitely don't do anything that requires you to sacrifice your feminine energy or your family time to achieve any of the goals that you have. So I've spent over a decade in the health and fitness industry. As a qualified integrative nutrition coach, I've actually competed professionally as well in bodybuilding, internationally for Australia. So I know body composition well as a sport. I've built and currently juggle multiple successful businesses, and I've helped thousands of women align themselves with their biggest aspirations. But this transformation was really different. This wasn't about me competing or proving anything. I actually did it really silently behind the scenes because this was really deeply personal. It was about honoring my body as the foundation for everything that I want to create in this world. And the movement that I am pioneering is really simple: to help you build a life and business that you're actually obsessed with. And that starts with the vessel that makes it all possible, your body. Because honestly, your body is your business strategy, and I'm about to prove it to you. Now, before we dive into the exact protocols and systems, I think I should share the moment where I had my enough is enough moment and really changed everything for me in regards to how committed I became to this health journey of mine. It was January 1st this year, 2025, and I was on a plane coming back to Australia from Lake Tahoe after a really beautiful family Christmas in the snow. And I had what I can only describe as just a loving and firm conversation with myself about settling for fine, when I knew that I could feel incredible. So I kind of had my bucket moment on that plane, and I drew a line there and then. And as we celebrated the new year crossing that timeline in the sky, I sat there without an alcoholic beverage in my hand with water. And the reason why is because I felt miserable in my body, and I didn't want that to be the feeling or the theme of my year. And I really wanted this year to have huge transformation in all areas of my life, in my business, in my income, in my health, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. And I knew if I wanted all those things, I needed to get really real with myself about the state that I had let my health arrive to. So this episode is for every woman who is tired of feeling disconnected from her body, who's ready to stop making excuses, and who really wants to understand the actual science behind sustainable transformation. We're about to get into the intricacies of fat loss, methylation, genetics, hormones, and practical systems. So grab your notepad because I have a lot of information to share with you. So let's dive in. So let me paint you the picture. It's January 1st, 2025. We have just spent 3 weeks over in the States for a white Christmas. I'm on a plane and I feel like absolute shit, pretty much. I had access to the glorious all-American junk food, supersized meals, and I kind of just like, I don't know why, but I just indulged so much. But it had been an accumulation of habits over time. So it wasn't just my white Christmas trip. It was just like little habits over time that I had kind of made a regular thing. So I had just spent 3 weeks over there eating like crap. And honestly, I just let myself go. I'm going to be really honest. My face was so inflamed and I had broken out like in this really embarrassing aggressive acne, and it was the worst that it had been in a lot of years. And I just felt really puffy everywhere in my face, just like looking at photos of myself under my eyes looked like I had been crying when I hadn't. My bags were huge and my whole face felt swollen, but so did my body. Like I just felt yucky. But this is the thing I really want to make sure everybody understands. This wasn't a like I hate my body moment. This was like a I can do better than this moment. And I think there's a really big difference in that. So I'm sitting on this plane looking at photos of myself from the trip, and I had this thought and I was like, Shani, you know exactly what to do. You have all the knowledge, all the resources, all the tools. You have won gold for Australia in bodybuilding competitions. Why are you settling for looking and feeling like this? And that's kind of like where I decided to grab my journal and pen out, and I just wrote something down that kind of became like the catalyst for everything that followed after that. I kind of wrote out like I had just realized that I had been tolerating feeling mediocre in my body while expecting excellence in every other area of my life. And I realized in that moment that that was just a contradiction and that was really eating away at me. And that moment of radical honesty with myself really changed everything, where it actually hit me that I had let myself go. It's hard to ignore it. I actually had this moment like maybe a few weeks before we went overseas. I was hanging out with my friends at the beach. I've got my phone here actually. I was looking at the photo last night. I'll try and find it while I'm chatting to you guys. But we went to the beach with all my girlfriends, and like they all took photos. And then we have a group chat called Book Club, and the girls dropped the photos in the chat, and I couldn't believe what I looked like. And I don't know if you've ever looked at a photo of yourself and you're just like, do I actually look like that? Here it is. I'm trying to find the photo. Anyway, I looked at this photo and I was just like, here, I've zoomed in on it. There we are. I know you guys can't see it. And you know what? You're probably looking at that and you're like, Shani, what the hell? But that, like, I'm sitting down, side profile. I looked at that photo and I was like, is that what I look like? So it kind of was brewing in me for a few months before. So that was like the beginning of summer here in Australia, November. And then, yeah, we went overseas. And I just felt inflamed. I felt bloated and I just didn't feel like I was in my body. I didn't feel like my body was mine. That's the best way to describe it. No matter how much I moved my body, I felt like crap. My face was breaking out. And I would say that was one of like the worst states of health that I have been in. And honestly, I just allowed it to be my standard for a really long time because I was so busy juggling all the balls, like being a mama, juggling my businesses, life, admin, adulting, you know what it's like. So I kind of like decided in that moment, like, I don't want to look like that anymore. And then I think after 3 weeks of eating like crap over in the States, coming back home, I was like, I'm done. Like, no, enough is enough. So here's what people don't understand about what I was going through. From the outside, yeah, I looked fine. People would say to me like, you look good, don't worry about it. Like, you're so beautiful, or you don't need to lose weight. And to that, I said lovingly, yes, the fuck I do. Because I felt like crap. And now let me tell you something that might be a little bit controversial, but I believe it with every fiber of my being. Your body is your business strategy, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So for those of you who have followed me for a while, you'll know this. I started in the health and fitness space in 2013, and my health has never stopped being a priority. My body is a business strategy to me, and it's always been a standard that I hold. I have always eaten well. I follow the 20-80 rule, so I'm, not restrictive. I'm very flexible, but I also, eat my organic veg and meat. I move daily. My home is low tox. I hardly drink alcohol. I prioritize sleep. Like, I do all the things. But I realized I'd been making the same excuses for a little bit about like little nighttime treats and those, special occasions that had actually just started to become my normal, like the little bickies at night or the Freddo frog or whatever. And, I think the killer for me was the nighttime snacks. The takeaway food, the hot chippies here and there that became a little bit more regular, and it was just starting to become more often. And then my healthy habits began to happen in half measures, and that's where I think I spiraled without even realizing it. So I became committed this year to what my body had been asking for all along, because honestly, as a business owner, your business is a direct reflection of the energy that you emulate. And you might be crushing it in biz right now, but until you have mastered your body and upped the stakes, you will not reach your next level and be able to hold it. And I know this will be super controversial, but if your health is in a not so great state, all the things, if you're eating like crap, not nourishing your body, you're not moving your body, you're not prioritizing sleep, and you're wondering why it feels like your business results are falling apart, then I think it's time to look in the mirror. And I can lovingly say this because I have just gone through this. So you are the conduit in which your business comes from. Look after it. And if you're a service provider, your bare minimum is to serve yourself so you can serve others. So when I was journaling all of this out on the plane, it really got me thinking, like, so many people out here are settling for fine, for almost, for not that bad. And I witnessed that in myself, and I just didn't understand that. It kind of like clicked for me. And I've always believed your body and state of health, your mind, your body, your soul, is the biggest indicator of your success. I have no shame in saying that I love to be lean. I love to be strong, fit, sexy, toned. I love waking up without inflammation, full of energy. I love having a regular cycle, a healthy libido, a clear mind, deep sleep, all of it. So since when did we start normalizing sluggishness and sickness and overweightness as the baseline for healthy? I know that's going to ruffle some feathers, but I want to put the question out there just so that we can make our businesses successful. I don't think that's right. So there's a difference between financial abundance and the financial capacity to hold it and attract more of it, otherwise known as healthy money energetics. I talk about this all the time. These are two very different things. The same is true for your body and your business. You might be able to create success temporarily while neglecting your body, But without the energetic capacity to hold it, sustain it, and expand from it, you are going to lose it all. And your body is where you practice discipline, where you honor commitments to yourself, where you learn to trust your intuition, where you regulate your nervous system. It's literally the foundation for everything else. And if you can't do this in your body, how can you do it in your business, and how can you do it for the people that you serve? So this transformation wasn't about vanity for me. It wasn't about fitting into smaller clothes or looking a certain way for other people. This was about integrity. It was about alignment. It was about refusing to accept fine as good enough when I knew that I could feel incredible. And this was about modeling for Rue, my son, what it looks like to honor your body and put it first. Showing up for my husband as the most vibrant version of myself, about serving my clients from a regulated, energized state instead of running on fumes. And this was really about practicing what I preach, about living in alignment with my values, about honoring the vessel that makes everything else in my life possible. And I just reached a point where I was ready to stop settling for anything less than extraordinary. So that plane ride, that journal entry, that moment of radical honesty with myself, that's kind of where it kicked off. But the real game changer came in when I decided to do this the right way and started looking for scientific facts and evidence about what my body actually needed. Taurus in the 6th house over here. I'm also a first line in human design. So it's very important for me to know the facts, know the science, follow what is proven. And that's where we're going to go next. The testing that changed everything and revealed why every diet I had tried before was setting me up to fail. Now, I am going to tell you straight up and tell you what you don't want to hear. This entire transformation was all around the food that I changed. And I know the food part is the hardest, but I need to tell you now that it wasn't just a generic change in diet. It was a very individualized approach to my body and my needs. And I do want to preface here that everything from this part onwards in the podcast is not health advice. Little disclaimer for the Karens out there, okay? Yes, I'm actually a qualified integrative nutrition coach and I do know what I'm talking about, but I am no longer working in that space, so I don't want to give you personal health advice, but my advice would be to seek professional help to learn what your body needs exactly. And please, for the love of God, check their qualifications and check to see that there's somebody holding them accountable, like they're qualified, their knowledge is backed, they've done some type of certification, a degree of some sort, just make sure that you are not seeing any willy-nilly, because that's very important. And you want someone that's able to hold you accountable to the advice they give you. The last thing you want is to go and see a health professional, then give you a meal plan to follow, and then no accountability, because I think that's the most important part. And on top of that, we're so individual and so unique. We can't follow a one-size-fits-all nutritional plan. So find someone who can work with you, and also someone who may know a little bit about what I'm going to share with you. So first things first, let's talk about the methylation testing. I posted this on my Instagram stories and I've never received so many messages. www.mydna.life is what we used. Last year, Matt and I got some blood work and methylation testing done, and let me tell you, this test was a total game changer. It gave me answers I didn't even know I needed. If you feel like you're doing everything right and not seeing progress, getting this kind of testing, I think, is so worth it. So let me break it down a little bit for the sciencey nerds out there like me who wants to know what the hell is methylation. So methylation is basically a process your body uses to do like all kind of important things like balancing your hormones, processing nutrients, clearing out toxins, burning fat, all the important things. So it's like a tiny chemical change that turns genes off and on. And these genes that they are turning on and off, they have special roles in your body. So if, say, a gene is on, it's working, it's doing its thing, and then sometimes it's meant to be turned off. And some genes are meant to be permanently turned off and turned on only in certain specific times. So they have breaks and then they turn on and off. So our bodies are so smart like that. It knows when to turn certain genes off and on at the right time. Like some need to be turned on when you're fighting an infection. Others are turned on during certain times of the month for women, for example, to produce the right amount of estrogen in their body. That's another example. So think of it like your body's internal software system, kind of like a computer software system. If there is a virus in the code of your computer, this is like these codes are showing up as genetic variants, right? And then things don't run as smoothly as they should. So what did the testing reveal for me? Essentially, it turns out that I have several genetic variants that were literally working against every generic diet approach that I was taking. So first, is it MTHFR? I always want to swear when I see that word or hear it, but MTHFR, I have number 677 and then 1298 variants, right? So without getting too technical, this just means that my body has about a 30% reduced function in converting folate, which is really critical for things like hormone balance and fat metabolism. And even brain function. So it means that I essentially just need more B vitamins than everybody else. So secondly, my protein requirements, genetically, this test showed me that I need more protein than the average person, and that about 25% of my caloric intake should be protein. Third thing this test showed for me is that my carbohydrate profile showed my genotype combination means that I need to have lower carbohydrates. So yeah, I benefit from like really limiting refined carbs, which everyone does anyway, but me more so than most, and choosing like really fiber-rich carbohydrate sources is really good for me in my diet. And then my fat metabolism genes, the most important one I thought, I have variants that mean I need a higher emphasis on monosaturated and polyunsaturated fats. Things like olive oil, avocados, nuts and seeds. Here's the thing, it also kind of insinuated that I need to be cutting out red meat consumption and really limiting that to at least once a week, if not less. And I was eating so much meat, and absolutely stay away from high fat meats. Like Wagyu, for example, which I love, sad face, saturated fats from dairy and things like that. So it gets really specific. One of the things it showed for me personally was my estrogen metabolism genes showed to be like slow in their detoxing. So this means if I have an accumulation of estrogen, which I did at the time, hence the skin, hence the fat around the stomach, it's really hard for you to lose fat when your estrogen doesn't detox as well if it's not managed properly. That was really interesting, being able to understand like all the types of green leafy veggies and things that I could implement into my diet whole food wise that really are just like a non-negotiable for me to help me with estrogen processing and detoxing out of my body. I won't bore you too much with my personal details, but yeah, things like my stress response and my digestion came up in this testing, and like what was really supportive of that, and some things about some particular hormones that make me hungrier than usual, and that, that helped me create a meal plan that would make sure that I'm not hungry all the time, like really protein rich and fiber rich foods for breakfast became really critical for me to really stabilize those hunger hormones. So you can see that this test really does give you so much information about what to focus on in your diet protocol. It was really cool. It was like 120 pages. I looked at it at first and I was so overwhelmed, but I put it into ChatGPT, and also the guy that did it for me actually sat on the phone with me for an hour and went through every page with me. God bless him and his little cotton socks. So here's where it gets really interesting. I mentioned I had like poor detoxification capacity for estrogen, but I also cannot detox properly. I think it's called mycotoxins or mycotoxins. Anyway, moldy foods, anything moldy, benzenes, aromatic amines, so just things like herbicides essentially. Anything low tox is essentially so critical for me, not only for my health, but for my fat loss. Like it limits my fat loss ability and my sleep and my hormones. So I got really like super strict on all those things. Also, my body, one of the tests was, this is funny, one of the tests says that I metabolize polyphenols faster than the average human. I've been taking Juice Plus for over 10 years, which is just like a high dose of polyphenols in a vegan capsule. So I was so happy to see that the capsules that I take with over 30 varieties of fruits and veggies is something that's actually been benefiting me for this reason. So that was a good positive. But yes, my body literally needs more detox support than the average human in certain aspects. It told me heaps about my vitamins and mineral stuff. So yeah, the test was great, and it got me really crystal clear on like what foods to avoid and what foods to implement, particularly like what vitamins, what supplements are very important for me, what supplements I don't need. Yeah, really cool. So body comp results, I've got them here with me. Now let me show you what happened when I aligned this protocol with my food to the actual, like, my genetic needs to the routine. So my body composition results speak for themselves. I've got the first one here that you can see I took on the 11th of January. I don't know if you guys can see that. My body fat mass was 17.8 kilograms, and I'm just trying to look for the percentage. Body fat percentage, 29.7. Then this one, I took this one on the 16th of June. So essentially, what's that, January, February, March, April, May, June. Yeah, 5 months later. I'll show you that so you guys can see it for yourself. Trying to get it in focus for you. Body fat mass, 12.5 kilograms, and percentage went down to 23.4 from 29.9. So that's a significant drop. 5.3 kilograms of fat, and I maintained my muscle the whole time. I did drop 0.3, so 300 grams of muscle, which I think is, when you're in a calorie deficit, is pretty good. Is pretty good. So yeah, I did want to talk about exactly what I did to get these results. I'm just going to be straight up. I totally was in a calorie deficit for just over 5 months. I truly believe I was able to drop this weight from working with my genetics and this test. This is exactly why cookie cutter diets fail. Like there's some parts of it that work, yes. And I think being in a calorie deficit is always going to make you burn fat. But you can't force yourself to do a one size fits all approach that doesn't match your genetic profile. And I'm a really big believer in that, because you're literally fighting against your DNA, and your DNA always wins. And I spent years wondering why I couldn't stick to certain eating plans, and why I've always craved more protein, and why I felt really yucky on like high carb diets. Not that I ever have been like consciously on a high carb diet, but if I ever did eat high carb, it would really stress my body. So that's the science behind the approach. The calorie deficit part for 5 months, I intentionally and methodically counted my macros, not my calories. And that's really important, that I really want to differentiate, because being in the body comp world and being a qualified health coach, I know the science, and literally you need to be in a calorie deficit to burn fat. It is plain and simple. Is it sustainable? Absolutely not. I am not going to sit here and say that calorie counting or macro counting is long term, but I also knew it was going to just be temporary in this little window of time, so I could burn the goddamn fat that I could not get rid of. Those like last 5 kilos that you just can't move? Like that's what I felt like I was carrying for so long. So I was super intentional with my macros. I did not starve myself. I didn't fast. Women who want to have children in the foreseeable future should not be fasting. In fact, women in childbearing years, regardless of if they want children or not, should not be fasting, but that's another combo for another day. But I did intentionally use more energy in my day than what I ate. And I did that on purpose, and I did it in a very healthy way. And again, I want you to seek professional advice on how to do this for you and in a sustainable manner. And I will not tell you my exact macros, because it is absolutely irrelevant. You need to have yours worked out according to, your body composition and your personal goals. So I've had a lot of questions like, can you share your macros with me? And I don't think it's healthy for us to compare the macros that we eat and then follow someone else's, because my body is so different to yours, right? My goals were to burn fat, preserve muscle. They were my number one goals. My third goal was clear my skin. But I knew that was going to come from just cleaning up my diet and replacing everything with whole foods. More on diet soon. But anyway, I know how to do this well. I've done it as a sport, literally. I've won a world championship doing it as a sport. So I didn't need professional help to help me work it out, because I did this for many years, but I recommend that you do. Now, the food part, what I will tell you is what I ate and what I didn't eat. First of all, I didn't have a drop of alcohol for the entire first half of this year in that phase where I was in a calorie deficit. I cut out 1,000% sugar, all refined sugars and all UPFs, ultra processed foods, all cut out, like did not even enter my mouth. No hot chippies, no little snackies, no packaged foods. All of it was stopped. I stopped the snacking at night with my tea and the cookies. I cut out gluten. Now, I'm not gluten intolerant, but typically I find that foods with gluten comes with food that bloats me. So I just said no to it. And I still try and avoid it now anyway, because I know it makes me feel a bit gross. But I'm not a celiac, so I don't need to avoid it 100%, so I don't. But I prioritized protein in every single meal and ate super lean, high protein with lots of healthy whole foods. And I should say that I did what's called the YBL detox at the beginning of every month for 10 days to reset my system, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But that's literally it. I didn't change my exercise because I was already exercising 4 to 5 times a week. It was literally just a shift in my diet. Now, I do actually want to share a little bit about the detox, because I have had a lot of questions about this. So the HSC has a 10-day detox every single month. It's called the YBL detox, Your Best Life. And we do it at the beginning of every month, and it's 10 days and it's guided. So you have daily tips, amazing recipes, a guide to follow. It's super easy, a meal prep, shopping list. So like everything, you can do everything the week before and get ready for the 10 days. And it's just a monthly reset. It really helps to support methylation pathways, really helps, like you give yourself a digestive system break. You're not depriving yourself in this detox. It's really beautiful and sustainable and actually gives you results. So yeah, just DM me the word detox if you want any info on that on Instagram, and I'll send the detox details to you. You can join the next one. I'm in there every month. Would love to have you part of it. Now, what did I eat in a day? Let me give you the actual breakdown of what a typical day looked like for me, because this is another question I get a lot. I used a carb cycling approach. High carb days on training days, low carb days on rest and recovery days. So a high carb training day, what it would look like pre-workout, I would eat protein and carbs, like maybe a bit of Greek yogurt with berries and almonds. You can use rice cakes and a bit of almond butter. Post-workout, lean protein and carbs like chicken and rice and veggies or something like that, a nice little stir fry. And then dinner, protein again with fiber, so lots of veggies, healthy fats like salmon or greens, avocado. And then on my low carb days, which is the days that I'm either resting or like recovery days, morning protein and some healthy fats like scrambled eggs, some spinach, and then lunch would be lean protein again with some fiber, so like grilled salmon, some quinoa. I have this favorite meal, it's like a salmon bowl with some rice and like chopped up cucumber, soy sauce, really, really yummy. So something like that. And then dinner, just protein, healthy fats like chicken, roasted veggies, etc. So the key was timing my carbohydrates around my workouts when my body would actually use them, and focusing on fiber-rich, nutrient-dense sources that were high in protein as well. So I think it's really important to make your meals emotionally satisfying. I eat food I actually enjoy and look forward to. So if your meals feel a bit like a punishment, if they're bland and boring, like it's going to be so much harder. You need to have delicious food. And delicious food can be healthy. And you guys know that I'm obsessed with my Juice Plus shakes, for example, the chocolate shakes. They're literally my life. I've been on them for 10 years. I have a shake every single day in the morning. They're high protein, they're vegan, they're gluten-free, so they're great and they fill me up. So I just make a smoothie with a frozen banana, a bit of water, little spoonful of peanut butter, and oh my god, I just like love that for breakfast. So you can check the show notes for the link to those. They are delicious, highly recommend them, and when you buy them you actually get free access to the YBL detox as well. Anywho, the protein strategy, which I think is really important. Let's talk about this because this is game changer. Based on my genetic testing, I kind of needed to focus on about 120 grams of protein a day, but regardless of that, there is a formula that everybody can use to work out how much protein they need to have per day. 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight. That's the formula. 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight. And my genetic testing actually confirmed that this was correct for me. I need that much protein. But here's the key. I prioritize protein in every single decision I made around food every single day. So when I was hungry, I would just go, right, I just need whatever is high protein. And then the rest followed. So I never let myself have access to food that was low in protein. I broke that bad habit of being hungry and walking to the fridge or the pantry and having only like carby options, like little snacks. If I was out and about, like I would make sure I would know what was around that I could eat that was high protein. For example, like sometimes when I'm on the run and I'm hungry, I would find myself just getting sushi. Like worst thing you can do, right? The rice versus the protein amount is so wrong. So what I changed my habit to is I would just get raw sashimi instead from sushi. But I always had protein snacks on me as well. So and I still do. Juice Plus shake, some boiled eggs, protein bars, things like that. I try and stay away from protein bars as much as possible, but sometimes they're really easy when you're on the run. So I try and get one, look at the ingredients, that's all I can say. But if I was out and about and I was hungry and I had no options, I would maybe find somewhere that could create some type of high protein meal for me. So like Guzman and Gomez, the chicken bowl, amazing. I used to ask for extra chicken. I'm saying I used to. I still do now. I'm like compartmentalizing my year and talking about the first half of it, of what I changed, but I still do this. So G&G, chicken bowl, don't eat the chippies. Also like anywhere that has a chicken wrap, but just ask for no sauce because the sauces are always high in sugar. And I want to be really real. I didn't hit my protein requirements every single day, but I got really close. And on top of that, because I was exercising quite regularly and doing the 10K steps a day, one of the questions I got was, how do you eat so much protein without feeling so full? I think when you're exercising that much, your body will naturally ask for the food. So just make sure that you are expelling more energy than you are consuming it. The sleep part of this is really important as well. So this kind of became my foundation of everything else. If I slept well, I was energetic, I could work out really well, I could think ahead of like the food that I was going to need to eat or have prepped for myself. And here's the thing, you can have like the most perfect genetics-based nutrition plan, but if your sleep is shit, nothing else matters. So it's really important that the sleep component of this is in your list of priorities. So what shifted for me is when I put Rui to bed at like 6:37, I would say like 9 times out of 10, I just go to bed with him at the same time. I don't like put him down for an hour and then go and spend hours like watching TV with blue light or whatever. I would say goodnight to Matt there and then and be like, I'll see you tomorrow. And I would have 8 hours sleep every night, which meant I was waking up before the sun. Let's say it was like 5 a.m. I'd get out of bed, then I'd watch the sunrise, set my circadian rhythm while I was doing my morning routine. Everyone was still asleep, so I wasn't being bothered. And this meant that every single day started with a parasympathetic nervous system activation. Now, I have an Oura ring and I track my metrics daily. So yes, I'm tracking that I've got 10K steps under my belt, but I'm also making sure that my readiness and sleep scores are above 85. I love to have scores of 90 and over, but that's not realistic all the time, especially with a toddler that wakes you up and sneaks into your bed every night. But, sleep, at least my 8 hours sleep, that's what became a non-negotiable for me. And then everything else was able to flow really beautifully from that. So the reason I want to talk about why sleep is so important is because your hormones regulate during sleep. Your body repairs during sleep. Your metabolism needs a reset, and it does that during your sleep. And if you skip this foundation, you're building a house on sand. You might be training amazingly, you might be eating really well, but if you're not sleeping, I'd like for you to have a consideration of your sleep and maybe think about, well, what do I need to change in my life to have 8 hours sleep a night? Now, the training part of this is really important. I've had so many questions about where do you work out? What type of workouts do you do? Let me tell you right now, I freaking hate running. I hate cardio. I will not do it. So this was not me flogging myself running. I would rather walk any day of the week. So I did not run, and I don't lift crazy heavy weights. So yeah, people who say that you need to run and lift heavy, if you love doing that, by all means, please do. But if you hate doing that, let me tell you, I go to a gym here on the Gold Coast called the Native State Studio. It is amazing. It opened 1.5 years ago, and I was one of the first people through the door because I was this is my home. I knew it was going to be my home before it even existed. This is the first gym in my entire life that I've never wasted money on for being a member. I've always been a member of gyms and never gone. And week after week after week, they take money from my bank account, and I'm oh my God, this is the biggest waste of money. This gym, I do not skip a class because this is not just a normal gym. Native State is such a unique studio, and it combines strength training, conditioning, mobility, breath work, recovery, all in one place. It's so good. And they methodically plan workouts ahead of time in an 8-week cycle. So they mix all types of necessary and functional movement and recovery, which I think is genius. It's a really beautiful balance of what your body needs to recover and get stronger. So I do generally 4 to 6 sessions a week. I would do 6 sessions if it's the week that I'm ovulating because I'm feeling highly energetic. I would do 3 or 4 sessions a week if I have my period, for example. So I'm very intuitive with how my body is feeling, my energy levels, but I'm going to just say 4 to 6 sessions a week. One of those is always a class that's called Aligned and Balanced, which is a stretching and recovery class. It's really beautiful, and they have Palo Santo, and you breathe deeply and use your diaphragm, and it's amazing, right? So I just lock in every class every day, Monday through to Friday. Sometimes the weekend class, which is a 90-minute class, but that's if I'm feeling really good. But otherwise, I'm just doing Monday to Friday. And because they methodically plan the workouts ahead of time in this 8-week cycle, I just rock up and it's all done for me. I just know I've got to follow the plan that they've created. So I'm not doing crazy heavy weights or exhausting cardio, and I still somehow have abs and muscles. So I really recommend Native State if you're on the Gold Coast. Love it. Not sponsored at all, just really love the guys there, and they've done a phenomenal job, and it's a really beautiful community as well. So my typical training week, Mondays is what's called Rebuild and Refine. It's a strengths foundation class. Tuesdays, Forge and Endure. It's high intensity conditioning. There's weights in that one. So when I say I'm not lifting heavy, it's I'm not doing deadlifts with 40 kilos. The heaviest weights I would lift in Forge, I would say, is a 10 kilogram dumbbell. Wednesdays is that beautiful mobility class that I was telling you about, Align and Balance. Thursdays is generally a rest day for me, but if I'm feeling really good, I'll do Pyramid, which is a mixture of Rebuild, Forge, Align, all in one together. It's really good. Friday, there's a strengths class. So again, it's weights. They have a bathhouse there, so I'll do my recovery there. It's beautiful. Every single day I'm doing 10K steps. So that's something I really do want to say that I stuck to. 10,000 steps every single day. I was also really wanting to be in a deficit, and I love walking. I love walking on the beach. It's actually it's not a chore for me at all. So yeah, Native uses this pyramid method of like you work up the intensity in strength and then you come back down over the 8 weeks. And like I said, when I have my period, I'm just like much slower and intentional with all of that. But yeah, I think I would just say like my biggest piece of advice is just find movement that works for you, that you love. If your movement of choice is a chore and you don't enjoy it, it's going to be really hard for you to stay consistent. So find a gym with an epic community. Like I've made so many friends at my gym. We all have a chin wag before and after. We're on like socials together. Like it's just so nice to find a community like that. So find something like that for yourself. Make it fun, but enjoy the movement as well. With the recovery part of it, I'm a big bathhouse fan. I'll do 1 to 2 sessions a week. So this is sauna, cold plunge, steam room, infrared. Cold exposure actually helps with fat loss. There's research that suggests that it's something that if you finish your therapy session in the cold, you are burning fat faster for the rest of the day because your body is trying to equilibrate back to its core body temperature. So I would always end in the cold. It's really hard now to do that in winter, but it is invigorating and it does wake you up. It's like having a coffee. I don't have coffee. I don't drink caffeine, but that is like having a shot of coffee in my opinion. I should preface, women who are menstruating shouldn't be in the cold pool. There's research that suggests that we should be staying away from cold plunging when we have our period. But as well, like sometimes if I'm really hot because I've just done like a 20-minute session in the traditional sauna, I'll just do like a little dip in the cold and get back out. So just listen to your body, but generally like we really should be keeping our womb warm when we're menstruating, and cold plunging really isn't ideal. So just do a little Scotch finger dip kind of thing, and then continue on. But this isn't just about recovery for me. The bathhouse is about regulating my nervous system and helping me support my detox pathways, yes, but it is where I relax. It's where all my downloads come in. It's all where my greatest ideas land for me. So this is a really big part of like giving back to me in a really beautiful way. Yeah. So another question I got a lot was, how do I manage my cravings? This comes up all the time. So the first thing I'll always ask if I have a craving is, am I dehydrated? Because dehydration can be disguised as cravings and hunger. So gulp down like a big thing of water and see if that's it. Wait 10 minutes. And then if you're still craving that thing, ask like, what do I really need right now? Often if you're craving something, it's like rest or connection or some type of micronutrient. Or maybe see if there's a pattern in your cravings. Like, do you crave food when something happens? Like when you feel a certain emotion, like sadness or judgment, or is it connected to something, metaphysically? But on a physical, logical level, sometimes cravings is actually a micronutrient deficiency. So for example, like if you're craving hot chips, that actually might mean that you're needing some salts. One of my favorite salts to use is called Baja salts. So you can Google that, Baja salt. It's full of hundreds of minerals. I put a little sprinkle in my water in the beginning of the day, and that's great, but I also sprinkle it on all my food. So I find like having Baja salts, I really don't crave like savory, salty things like hot chips anymore, but that could just be my body as well. That's a really individual thing. But yeah, sometimes we crave food because we're bored or we're stressed and we need some relief from that. So try and acknowledge what it is that is making you have that craving and manage it from there rather than like going for the thing. Obviously as well, like I did not set myself up for failure by putting any treats in the pantry. So for like, my pantry and my fridge is just all health food snackies. I have this really yummy raw cherry rice slice that I make. So that's in the fridge instead of like, refined sugar treats. So make yourself like some raw treats, really, really good to reach for instead of, like the chocolate Freddos or whatever. But the thing that's really important to know is like, I think that the mindset of having a one-off bad meal doesn't ruin everything is really important, because I find that a lot of women spiral if they have like a bad meal or they have a few cocktails with the girls and then they feel really guilty afterwards. It's about what you consistently do, not what you do perfectly, in my opinion. So just always make sure you have high protein snacks available when you're craving something. You know, I will always eat protein first when I'm craving something. I'll do the water thing, wait 20 minutes, and then go from there. But someone once told me this analogy. I don't know where I heard it from, but it's kind of stuck with me forever. If you ever treat yourself with food, say like you've had a really long day at work, or you've just had one of those days parenting and you sit on the couch and you're like, I'm going to celebrate with a glass of wine, or I'm going to celebrate with a block of chocolate. Someone once said to me, we train dogs with food, and you are not a dog. So don't reward yourself with food because you are not a dog. And I was like, oh, that's harsh and full on, but okay. And that kind of works for me. So I don't use food as a reward anymore. So anyway, that's exactly what I implemented, sleep-wise, protein-wise, training-wise. What I eliminated, my monthly reset with the YBL detox. Someone had questions about like the hard days and the discipline and the willpower. And that's what I really want to dive into next, because I think that's the next element of the whole formula, how to handle the moments when you don't want to show up, or you build the systems and you just don't want to follow them, right? So let's talk about that. I had a question. I've got my phone here, so let me just read it. How do you maintain muscle while losing fat? This is really important. Now, a lot of people who go into a calorie deficit will do it incorrectly, and their body will start to eat away at their muscle, and that's how they lose weight. So they jump on the scales and they're like dropping kilograms and they're like, oh my God, I'm doing it. But actually what's happening is they're eating away at their muscle, which is the worst thing you could do. Like, for longevity, you want muscle mass, you want healthy, strong muscles so that you live a long, healthy life. Do not let yourself be in a calorie deficit so far gone that you are eating muscle. So this is crucial. It is a really good question. The way that I maintained mine was the protein strategy. I really did prioritize protein. I followed that formula that I shared with you guys, 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight, and stick to that as much as you can every day. I know that's a lot of protein for some people. Even 120 grams for me is really hard to meet every day. But if you can prioritize protein in every meal, so when you're like at a restaurant, you're looking at all the food on the menu, just look for the highest protein option. Like, if you can make that your non-negotiable, that's going to be really, really good for you. Secondly, don't starve yourself. Your body needs fuel to maintain muscle. So you don't want to be like that skinny fat chick, you know? You want to be the strong, like toned, sexy chick. And that does not come from starving yourself. Strength training at least 3 times a week with some progressive overload is very important. It's what Native does. That's why I love going there. I don't want to have to think about it. I just want someone to tell me what to do, and they do that really well. Eat enough food to fuel those workouts so that you can lift like a 10 kilogram dumbbell like I can, and you know, do rows with 10 kilograms. That's what I'm doing at the moment. I'd love to pick up the 12.5 soon. That's my goal. You know, I do want to progressively overload and go higher in weight. So strength training, eat enough to fuel those workouts so that you can lift. You know, you're not lifting like 3 kilogram dumbbells. You're the girl in the gym class that can actually lift something sustainable. That's going to help you build muscle, and get the body composition scans. Like these are so good. I know how to read them because I've done this professionally. Like I've done it as a job, and I've also done it in the competition world. So I know how to read these, but find someone who can read them for you. You can scan them and put them into ChatGPT, but that is how you maintain muscle in a calorie deficit while you're burning fat. So essentially, you want to be eating and training in a way that is making your body use fat as the energy source, not your muscles. Question number 3 was, how do you handle the hard discipline days? This is a good one. This is going to be really hard for me to answer because I'm a little bit twisted in the way that my brain thinks. Like once I decide on something, I freaking go all in and give it everything I've got. And I think that's why I have had the success that I've had in my businesses. It's why I think I won that world championship. Like when I just make a decision, like nothing gets in my way. I don't really rely on willpower. I rely on my routines and systems. And that's a very like Taurus in the 6th house thing. Like I'm very structured, very regimented. I need my routine. My days are planned so well when it comes to my health and my rituals. So I kind of like, it's a pre-made decision and there's just no room for negotiation. I don't negotiate on those things. But I do have bad days and those days are planned for. So I've got a list of like what my bare ass minimum is on my bad days. And I think there was an identity shift for me, like of instead of like I'm someone who tries to be healthy, which I was trying to be healthy, I just decided that I am freaking healthy. I am healthy and I don't eat certain foods. I avoid certain habits and behaviors. I don't drink alcohol, like those things, right? So it's funny, like Matt and I just went to Europe for a month and neither of us had a glass of wine. That's the first Euro trip we've done in 10 years together that we didn't have a glass of wine because we just decided to change our identity. So that's one. And I think the compound effect, really helps. Like if you have days on days on days on days when you make good choices, when you have a bad day, it doesn't matter too much. So that would be, my answer to that. And I also had a finish line. I had a Europe trip coming up that I knew I wanted to be in a bikini for and feel sexy and look hot and feel good for me, for my husband, not for anyone else. And that was like a really good finish line for me. So maybe like, do you have an event that you want to feel great for? Another thing for me was like, I just wanted to clear my skin. And for those of you who are watching, like you can see, like I do not have a single pimple on my face. My face was breaking out so bad. Now it's so great. And for me, like, I film a lot of things. I host a lot of things on Zoom. I do a lot of in-person events. I'm constantly doing photo shoots and content. Like I want to feel and look great. So my skin health is really important to me. So that's part of the why, right? There's got to be a reason why you want to do the things that you're going to do. Just make the decision. It doesn't have to be about willpower. It just has to be about you making a decision and also keeping that promise to yourself. And I think that says a lot about the person you are when you keep a promise to yourself. I have another podcast with my bestie Loz called Babes Talking Business, and our first episode this year, I have to find the clip for it, but she was like, what are you excited for this year? And I said to her in that podcast, there is proof of this, there's a recording. I said, this is my year to like really focus on my health and wellness. Like it is my top and number one priority. And I am getting the hot and sexiest I've ever been in 2025. Watch this space, and lo and behold, 5 months later. So it's just about making the decision, right? It's just making the decision, staying motivated, having clarity on the end goal. I think, that's what it's got to be about. And you have to be in integrity with yourself around that too. I have one more question before we wrap this podcast up. And it is, how long did it take to see results? So I started on January 1st, like I shared, and like the body composition, it took me a bit to get it. Like I got it on the 11th of January, as you can see there, but I physically started on the 1st of Jan. On that plane ride back home. I kind of, I stopped counting my macros and sort of brought the 80-20 way of living and eating in May this year. So about 5 months, I would say. I don't count my macros anymore. I just eat intuitively. I don't believe counting macros for the rest of your life is sustainable. I now just know intuitively what my portions need to look like. Sometimes you just need that reminder, even if you're in the wellness space, even if you've done bodybuilding as a sport, like sometimes you just need the reminder about portion control. So calorie counting, macro counting can help you with that, but it's not sustainable, so I don't do it anymore. I am now in maintenance, so I'm not looking or wanting to lose any more weight. I'm really happy with where I'm at. So I'm not actively losing weight, but I'm still keeping up with the exercise, the 10K steps a day, the way that I'm eating. This was, and I do want to preface that this was really different this time in the way that I leaned up. When I used to do it when I was competing, it was a very unhealthy way of doing it. This was very sustainable, very healthy. Last time when I stopped competing, I put on 10 kilograms in like 3 months. It was really bad. I messed up my hormones so bad, whereas this was done holistically and with a really beautiful relationship with food. So I'm really proud of the way that I did it. I did it healthily, I did it safely, and that's what I'd recommend for you to do as well. So that covers all of the tactical stuff. What I haven't talked about is the actual transformation, which wasn't physical. And I think it's cool to like know the tactical stuff, but what's really important, I think, to know was the biggest shift that I had from this transformation was how I started to show up in every area of my life, very self-assured in myself as a woman, as a business owner, how I show up online. I think you guys can definitely see the shift in how I show up online. Like, I'm confident. I'm so I'm proud of myself and what I've achieved, yes, and I always have been, but it's a different energy. I'm sure you guys can feel it. I've had a lot of people message me say like the way you're showing up, the way like you glow. I get the response from people, and I know that came from this transformation. But I also feel really confident in my body. That ripple effect is gone into my marriage. Matt has noticed the energy shift in me. Modeling this behavior for Rue, I think how to honor your body and prioritize yourself. He's only 3, but he comes to the gym with us and watches us train. He sits with us while we're training. He's not in a creche or anything. He's actually sometimes he's doing the stuff with us, which is super cute. The kid knows about protein and how protein gives you muscles. He'll always ask for a protein meal. It's so cute. So yeah, I think being a role model for him is really important. And my business has exploded this year, and it is definitely directly correlated to this transformation. I know it because it's my energy. And for me, this wasn't just about looking different, like I said at the beginning of the podcast. It really was about transforming every area of my life. Mental clarity, yes, I wanted more of that. Energy, yes, I wanted better sleep. I wanted a better regulated nervous system. I didn't want to be reactive anymore. I didn't want to be stressed anymore. I wanted sustained energy throughout the day. Yes, all those things. Better decision-making capacity, my brain, I wanted it to function better. But I wanted to totally crush it in business this year. And this was a really big part of my why. I was so ready for the next level of my expansion, my next era, my next season in business. And I knew that if I wanted to have excellence in my business and in my wealth, I needed to have excellence in my body first. So that definitely was a really awesome thing to see happen and unfold for me. But more than anything, I wanted to prove to myself that I could keep a promise to myself. And this is where the integrity piece comes in. I wanted to walk my talk. I really did. And I let myself slip there for a little bit last year. And I think that what I did was I allowed the desire of success and building a business and juggling all the balls get kind of prioritized over my well-being, even though it's so funny to say that, because honestly, I was prioritizing myself. I was going to the bathhouse, I was exercising, walking, meditating, but the food piece was the final piece that I really needed to nail. And I wanted to do that for myself, for my well-being, for my brain, for my thinking capacity, for my clients, for my family. And now that I nourish my body in a way that's really supportive, I feel like I'm this open channel of amazing ideas. I'm constantly getting amazing ideas. Manny Gen Life, I'm oh my God, stop. But more than anything, this transformation really just deepened my connection to my purpose and my mission. And I think that's really important for business owners out there who really want to see immediate results in business. I really want you to consider how does your relationship with food and your body, nourishing it, moving it, resting it, How does that look for you? So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, Shani, I am so ready to transform, here's exactly what you need to do. Don't try and change everything at once. Just start with like little baby steps. Maybe get the methylation testing, get some body composition scans, get the professional help you need to help you be in a healthy deficit if that's something you want to do. I think accountability is really important. So go with someone who doesn't just give you a meal plan and an exercise plan, but someone who's actually going to check in with you weekly and make sure that you're keeping on top of things. I think that daily, weekly support is, priceless. Audit your protein intake. That would be my second piece of advice. Like, how much protein do you have a day, particularly if you want to lose fat, gain muscle, or lose fat and preserve muscle. That's a really important one. The third step, eliminate just one processed food at a time that you are currently eating and find the replacement that's healthy. So maybe just start with like the worst offender. You'll know what that is. And then baby steps, just baby steps. You don't have to do it all at once. Like, I think the way that you get to do this in a sustainable, beautiful way is just baby steps. So choose one food, this week, and then next week it can be something else. But the fourth step, I would say, is to establish a non-negotiable sleep schedule. So some people will be like, okay, I've just had 4 hours sleep, or I can only get 5 hours sleep because I'm hustling till like 11 o'clock at night, and then I'm going to get my day started the next day. Would you prioritize sleep over movement? This is a really good question. Like I said before, it doesn't matter if you're eating amazingly and moving your body daily. If sleep is anywhere under 7 hours a night for you, you are not going to be able to get the results you want physically. You need to be prioritizing that sleep. So I would actually choose sleep over movement. I know that sounds crazy, but you need to find a way to get the 10K steps in. So whether it's like getting one of those walking treadmills, stand-up things at your desk, I don't know your life, but like for me personally, I've created support systems in my life to allow me to have the 10K steps. Like, I lean on support. I have help with Rui because I know if I don't, I'm not going to be able to go to the gym. I walk with Rui in the pram, so that's super easy. But for me to go to the gym on the days that it's not like a mums and bubs class, like, I need to have help. I need to have support. Do I need a nanny? Do I need to take him to family daycare? Can I ask my mum? Can I ask a friend? Like, you have to make those non-negotiable routines and rituals for yourself to allow yourself to have the space to do the thing you're going to say you're going to do. And lastly, find movement that feels good for your body, not what works for others. If you go to Native State, for example, and you hate it, don't go to it because I said to go there. Like, go and find something that you love. The whole mindset shift thing in this, like, before you take any action, you need to shift the way that you think about this. It needs to be enjoyable, every aspect of it, how you move, how you eat. Your body is your business strategy, like I said at the beginning. And if you are treating it as a separate thing to you that you have to do, like, if you're doing that with your body, I'd like to ask you, are you doing that with your business? Like, are you doing it just because you think it's going to create success? And that is why my movement is helping you create a life and business you're actually obsessed with. I don't want you doing things out there that you don't enjoy. So use this as a way to really write a list of things of what you love to do, what you genuinely enjoy. And don't forget, it's progress over perfection. 80% consistency beats 100% perfectionism, in my opinion. And the systems that you put in place, the support you put in place, will always overpower willpower. You won't need willpower when you have those systems and support in place. So create the environment for success. Work with your genetics would be my last thing I would say, not against them. The methylation test is a great start. I think there probably is more things out there that you could do, but that's what I personally did and I really loved it. So in closing, I would say that If you are feeling uncomfortable in your body right now, just take this episode as a permission slip to prioritize yourself, prioritize your investment in your health, energetically, financially. And this really is a permission for you to say no to things that don't serve your body anymore. And it's permission for you to feel incredible in your own skin, because I promise you, you can do it. And this is permission for you to believe in yourself and that you are worthy of all the things that make you feel and look amazing. And the ripple effect of that, of your transformation, affects everyone around you, not just yourself, but every area of life around you. So when you show up fully for yourself, show up fully because you know it's going to be great for everyone else around you too. If you've got kids, you'll know that hits home for you. You're a better parent when you're regulated. You're a better parent when you sleep more. You're a better parent when you eat well and nourish your body. So a transformation like this, I believe, makes your energy magnetic. I believe that's part of the reason why my business has exploded this year. So I just wanted to leave you with those words because I think it's really important to kind of look at it in that way, not just as like a physical transformation, but so much more than that. And if you are a parent, just remember your kids watch everything you do. So show them what it looks like to self-love, to self-care, to self-prioritize. And this isn't about vanity. This was never about looking a certain way for anyone. This was about stewardship of my vessel that carries the potential to create the dream life that I want. So at the end of the day, it's just a choice. And at the end of the day, the choice is always yours. Life is a series of choices. I learnt that in 2024. So you can keep settling for fine, or you can choose extraordinary. You can keep making excuses, or you can make different choices. And your future self is really counting on you to make these decisions. And you can make them today, and it doesn't need to be hard. It doesn't need to be about being perfect. It's just about being intentional and making it easy for you in a way that you don't have to rely on willpower to get it done. Does that make sense to you guys? I really hope it does. Just know that you already have what it takes to create the success and the transformation that you want. It just is a choice to make the decision. So if this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone you know will benefit from it, who needs to hear this message. DM me your biggest takeaway. I'd love to hear. I love reading all the messages. I get back to them all personally. I don't have anyone in my inbox getting back to anyone. If you'd love to join the YBL detox with me, send me the word detox and I'll prioritize your message, because the next one starts at the beginning of the month. So we can talk about all the details. I can send you all of that. And if you are on a body transformation journey, please tag me. I want to see you. I want to celebrate you. Just remember, you are worthy of feeling incredible in your body. You get to have that. You get to have it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for prioritizing this episode. I'm so proud of you. If you've taken notes and you're about to go and take action on some of the things that I've shared, you've got this. You've absolutely got this. Okay. I love you lots. Talk to you soon. Bye.